My name is Mark Galley. I'm with Think Reliability. This is an introduction to the basic elements of a comprehensive root cause analysis program. It's about establishing a problem-solving process within your organization. The 5 elements that we're going to cover are 1, the methodology, which relates to root cause analysis, troubleshooting, incident investigation, and really overall problem solving. The second element is the measurements and how to tie the program into your performance measurements of your business. The third one are defining the roles within your organization, which is really the overall investigation process. The fourth element is facilitation, documentation, and storage, which are 3 different things, but they tie in very closely together. And the fifth one is really reviewing the overall investigation process to make improvements where needed. In any investigation, there are fundamentally 3 basic questions. What's the problem? Why did it happen? And what should we do? So even if you're troubleshooting a day-to-day problem, it's the same 3 questions. If you're conducting a major investigation, it is the same 3 questions. What's the overall problem? Why did it happen? Which is the analysis? And what specifically should we do? Those are all the action items or the solutions that will be applied. These questions provide a guide not only for the investigation, but how it will be documented. One other note, in any investigation, it's extremely important to be very specific when collecting information. When defining a problem, there are really some simple questions we should ask. These questions come from the 5 W's plus H, which is who, what, when, where, why, and how. When starting an investigation, the first question really shouldn't be who did it. So it leaves us with what, when, where, why, and how. All the why questions and the how questions end up in the analysis step. So really in defining the problem, step 1, we really want to know what the problem is, when it happened, where it happened, and then how it impacted the goals. So in step 1, defining the problem, there are 4 questions, and that 4th question determines what the impact is on the organization's overall goals as related to safety, environmental, customer service, production or schedule, and materials and labor. People typically disagree about what the problem is, but they don't disagree about how it impacts the goals. So starting every investigation with the impact to the overall goals is one of the simplest ways to get agreement within a group of people. In terms of cause and effect, the cause and effect relationships have got to be very basic or clear to people. Fire is obviously caused by heat. That is one of the causes. Now this cause and effect relationship builds backwards because why questions move backwards through time. Fire is the effect and it's caused by heat. But in reality, as everyone knows, fire is caused by heat and fuel and oxygen. This is a very simple visual way to lay out cause and effect relationships. Fire doesn't have a cause, it has causes. It's true that fire is caused by heat, but it's also true that you need fuel and oxygen to actually have that fire. Now, on other issues, larger issues, for example, this is a little bit of information about an offshore platform incident that occurred a while back. There were a significant number of fatalities because of an explosion. It clearly impacted the safety goal. The explosion was caused by an open leak path in a line, which was caused by the blinds were not fit properly. Now, it seems like that's all very good information, and that information is accurate, but there's more detail that can be added. This next view is the same set of cause and effect relationships that we just saw, but we've added a lot more detail. And here is even more detail. So you'd say, well, what level does an incident need to be investigated? And it just depends on how it impacts the goals. This incident had a significant loss of life, and so there was a huge amount of detail, even more than is shown in this map. But the idea is cause and effect relationships apply to very basic issues with just a few questions for day-to-day troubleshooting, and then larger incidents have more cause and effect relationships because more detail is added. All 3 levels are accurate: high level, mid-level, and detailed level. And the detailed investigation would obviously be a large plot if we were going to print it out. But it's just like looking at a map of a city versus a state versus the downtown area. They're just at different levels of detail. All the different views are accurate. The level of detail is different. Some of the conventional approaches of root cause analysis use many different terms for explaining cause and effect relationships or attempting to explain cause and effect. The simplest approach we have seen in terms of focusing on cause and effect, and the cause mapping method, is just to use the definition of cause, that a cause is the producer of an effect. Causes are validated with evidence. when you don't have evidence or when you're not sure is what is referred to as a possible cause. And this is where people may say, well, I have a theory, or it might have been this, or it could have been this. Those are all possible causes. We discourage groups from using the terminology. If you focus on cause and effect, people that do like to use the terminology and the adjectives, we can certainly work with them because we fundamentally know what a cause is. It is the producer of an effect. So the adjectives are really unnecessary. The idea is to keep this as simple as we can and focused on the evidence. In terms of investigating the issue, the problem-solving methodology is based on defining the problem, conducting analysis, and coming up with solutions. There's additional information that helps in the investigation, such as the timeline and understanding any diagrams or photos that are part of that investigation, and also understanding the work processes that were in place. The idea of the work process says upstream of any problem that has occurred, there were already processes in place that ended up resulting in this problem. The investigation helps us identify cause and effect relationships so that we can get solutions, and those solutions actually make improvements in the process. So there's what we were doing before the incident occurred, there's why the incident happened, which is when we lay out the cause and effect relationships, and then there's what we're doing now to prevent the issue from ever occurring again. The whole idea is to improve the way a group analyzes, documents, communicates, and solves the problem. Once the investigation methodology has been defined, the second element, measurements, helps direct what will actually be investigated. So the performance metrics within a company really should drive the investigation process. The question is, what do you want to improve? It may be a particular piece of equipment, it may be a particular work process, it may be an overall operation. It might be safety performance for an entire site, it might be production performance for an entire site or an entire business unit. But the measurements really dictate what level of detail the investigation goes to, whether it's a piece of equipment or an overall site. The severity of issues also dictates level of detail in an investigation. Some incidents are more severe than others. There tend to be fewer major issues and more day-to-day problems. This is an example of an incident pyramid from H.W. Heinrich from the 1930s. We view it as a little bit more in terms of looking at the pyramid and being three-dimensional, that there are a lot of near-miss or potential incidents that never occur, but some of those are what people will call level A or level 1 issues, which are major, significant, critical issues that did not happen, and those investigations should be just as detailed as though the incident happened. There are many day-to-day issues that don't happen either, and those also would be an opportunity to investigate to prevent incidents from ever occurring. There are many, many opportunities to investigate near misses before those bigger issues ever happen, and we just refer to this as the investigation pyramid. The third element is defining the roles. This is where the overall investigation process has to be defined. There has to be specific owners of an incident, overall leaders of the process, and people that actually facilitate individual incidents. The managers, supervisors, and frontline personnel play key roles and have specific tasks in how they either participate or lead investigations. This process may start off at a very high level by saying, well, there are people that are performing work. When an incident does occur, it must be contained. Then the investigation can be conducted, and then action items can be developed, and those action items actually tie back into our work process to ensure that that doesn't happen again. It's a very high-level view. A much more detailed view would say there are specific roles for the people that work on the front lines in helping to collect information and participate in the investigation. There are roles in terms of the supervisors and then the people that would be leading that investigation process. And if the overall root cause analysis program or investigation program is to be effective, those roles have to be clearly defined. The fourth element, facilitation, documentation, and storage, really tie together because as you facilitate an incident, meaning collect and organize all the information, you would also be documenting it at the same time, or you should be documenting it at the same time. It's important in an investigation to think in terms of cause and effect, but we also need people to document all the information that is gathered. This can be done with pencil and paper, it can be done with chart paper, it can be done on a whiteboard, and it can be done with electronic tools like Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is very useful. Those example maps that I showed earlier were all built in Microsoft Excel. The effect is on the left, the cause on the right, the connector boxes and the connector arrows are all available within Excel. We have specific lessons that we provide in our workshops on how to use Excel to thoroughly document an issue and use the different worksheets to collect information. You can store an investigation as a hard copy, or you can store it electronically in Excel. You can print out posters which actually show the whole investigation on one large plot, which is very useful. And then you can also database incidents. This is a very helpful format of having cause and effect relationships laid out in a visual format electronically, because you can then print troubleshooting guides that people can use to work through specific issues in your organization, and also continue to collect failure modes of different problems that they see. The fifth element has to do with a regular review of the process. Really, the question is, how is it going? Is it working for us? And what's going well in terms of what we can improve upon? And what could be improved, meaning what's not going as well as it should, or what takes too long, or what's difficult, or what gets lost in terms of storage or miscommunication. So there's a big opportunity to regularly review the process and improve the overall effort. These basic elements, there's a lot of information that helps in terms of refining each one of these, but these basic elements are more than just investigating an issue. It's laying out the entire organization's process to say we're going to have a discipline to how we investigate issues, and really tie that back into the company's goals. If you have any questions about setting up a program, or even working through a specific issue, don't hesitate to contact our office at the number you see there, or through our website via email. Thanks very much, and have a good day.